Hello, my name is Connor Passon. This is the first time I'm doing a video review like this. I've dabbled in it before, and it has been something I've been meaning to do, but this is the first time I'm actually going for it. So, just for the record, this is my opinion of the film. This does not reflect the critical consensus nor the audience consensus of It Chapter 2. In fact, I think my opinion might be not entirely alone here, or not sure. Reception for this has been all over the place. Um, so this is a review of It Chapter 2, directed by Andres Muschietti, written by Gary Dauberman. It stars Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader. Bill Skarsgård returns as Pennywise. There's a few other actors in here that I unfortunately don't recognize. I'll have to look them up later, but and this is the second half of the grand adaptation of Stephen King's uh, most famous novel, It, or at least one of his most famous. And the first part came out in 2017. I got a chance to see it, and I thought it was a fantastic movie. Lots of fun, great horror film. Had some decently creepy moments in it. Great ending. It was a film that came at the right moment at the right time. And unfortunately, sometimes those kind of movies are really hard to recapture in a bottle. Just when it happens, it's lightning in a bottle. It can only be done one time. You can't make it strike twice. And for chapter two, I think it does a good job at differentiating itself. Straight up, I just want to say this. I do really like this. This is a good continuation. This is a good finale. I had a great time in the theater with it. But I can completely understand why some people might hate this. I really, really do. Because it is front to back absurd. It is goofy, it's gory, it's gooey, it's kind of wacky, it's loaded with humor. But and on top of that, it goes to bizarre territory, like just the kind of stuff where it's like, holy shit, this really is a Stephen King adaptation if it's going to start doing stuff like this. I mean, like, make no mistake, there's Native American stuff that shows up, and rituals, and absurd imagery, and stuff that just kind of makes you go, oh, come on. Weirdly enough, another thing I've also heard in, like, descriptions of some of King's novels, I must confess that I've never properly read one. I've read one or two, but I mostly kind of watch his movies, but I'm aware of how weird the stuff in his movies is. Trust me, I'll put it like this: I really like Dreamcatcher. um, but here, this is a very kind of wacky horror movie. There was one review I saw where somebody who hated it called it serious Beetlejuice, and I don't entirely disagree, but I wouldn't go that far because it gets really, really wacky and absurd. I'm not entirely sure if I want to go into details about it. I want to keep this spoiler free. But what I can say is that this is a genuinely passionate adaptation. Muschietti, who did the original It and Mama a couple years back, I really like that one too. He shows a lot of love for the source material, which I totally get. And it's nice to see a director do that. The last time I kind of saw something like that, where a director was really working hard to make something accurate to the original source, was what Zack Snyder did 10 years ago with Watchmen. Exactly 10 years. What do you know? But at the same time, it does, whereas I thought Snyder pulled it off with something like Watchmen, here Muschetti's kind of like, it almost seems like he's having a little bit of trouble, maybe kind of like trying to make stuff that is scary, that would be scary in the book. Not entirely, he overdoes it. There's an entire middle section of the movie where it becomes kind of a never-ending funhouse with only one or two bits that really truly get under the skin. The one you saw in the trailer with Beverly's, that one actually caps off with a really grotesque visual where we get little hints of what Pennywise's true backstory is. And in one of the images we see is this version of him as like a human or possessing somebody. It's not really made clear what it is. And he's like putting on the makeup, and he's takes his hands and just goes, and you see the lines on his face show up, and it's a really striking image as he's cackling. And I was like, whoa, that's really creepy. And then there's other stuff like the Paul Bunyan sequence, which I heard about that from the book, and I can't believe they actually threw it on screen. What the hell? Or of course, there's another one where it involves. Look, if you at least seen the 1990 version of it with Tim Curry, it's a certain line he says to another character. You'll know it when you see it. But at the same time, for a film that's 10 minutes shy of 3 hours, this is almost about as long as something like Dogville or Cloud Atlas. I had a blast with it. I was never bored. It just kept moving and moving and moving. I know I had a bit of a problem with like that first, with that second act kind of feeling like just like an endless funhouse that I wanted to get out of. But everything else, from the cast to the visual effects to the musical score to the pacing, for me, it's hard to get at it. It's hard for me to get mad at a movie this well made. I know other people really hate it. I can completely understand why, but I wasn't feeling it with this. I was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm having a really good time with this. I'm not sure how I'll react on a second viewing. I might like it more, I might like it less. I might like it just the same as I do right now. This isn't a boring film. This is a really entertaining movie. I had a great time with it. The audience I saw it with seemed to really enjoy it. I saw a group of girls that they were kind of like making comments about the movie as they were leaving, and I just went like, beep, beep, Richie. And they had a good chuckle about it. I saw it with my mom. She had a really great time, even though she was kind of falling asleep and had to step out a couple moments. But it was just, it's a solid conclusion to a grand story. One thing is for certain, though, I don't want to see the proposed supercut that this movie's going to get, where Andres Muschietti says he wants to combine both chapters into a single film. I don't think I can handle that, because both movies, even though they are one singular story, they have entirely different tones. The one with them as kids is easier to take more seriously, whereas the one with adults, it's much more goofier and wackier. And kind of having a cut that bounces between both of those, I can picture being kind of a disorienting mood whiplash. Like, the tone in this chapter is definitely goofy too, but just having it bounce between more serious stuff and then goofy and then serious and then goofy and then serious, I think would be a headache. But as it stands, I really liked it, Chapter 2. It's going to be a big hit. It's already made 91 million or 90 million. Who knows what the real box office estimates are this weekend. It's probably going to stay around. It'll sell like hotcakes on video, and I'm okay with that. I'm glad we got to see this through to the end, and that King gets an adaptation that I'm sure he's more happy about than the 1991, though maybe he might have a soft spot for that one. At the same time, I do kind of feel like Stephen King material, is always worth touching again and again, because there are ways that filmmakers could do it differently or interestingly. I didn't hear good things about the new Pet Sematary, and I remember that old version of I remember, not the old one, the 1999 one, or is it early 2000? I forget which year, but that version of The Shining sucked. I hated that one in comparison to the 1980s one. But as it stands, this is a really good conclusion, a really fun horror movie. I recommend it. See it with a crowd, or if you want to see if you can try and go for a screening by yourself, you can have a good time with that too. You might be able to make more noise. And I'm excited to see what we're going to be getting next for other Stephen King adaptations. I know we're going to be getting Dr. Sleep in a couple of months in November from Mike Flanagan. I haven't seen any of the trailers for that, but I think, oh, the guy who did Oculus and what was another movie he did that was really good? Crap, I forgot what was it. Oh yeah, the guy who did Oculus and Ouija Origin of Evil doing a Stephen King movie. Absolutely, I'll sign up for that. So, speaking of trailers, the theater I went to only plays two before the movie begins. It's a one of those restaurant and theater type places. It's not an Alamo Draft House. It's a local chain called Smitty's. 8 screen laser projection. It's pretty solid. My mom loved going to it. I have some other theaters I prefer going to, but this one was fun. This one, it's a nice place. And the trailers I got for it were two DC films. One was for Birds of Prey, which was too brief for me to really judge. I mean, it'll probably be fun. Margot Robbie was one of the good things about Suicide Squad. It's got Ewan McGregor in it, so. And then the other one was for Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix movie, which I'm still surprised that I actually won a top award at the Vienna Film Festival. What the hell? Yeah, look that up. It's weird. But as I said, had a really good time with the movie. Looking forward to seeing it again. I don't know if I'll see it again in theaters, but I'd definitely be up for getting a box set that contains both films so I can watch them back to back. And looking forward to see what comes next. Anyway, in a couple of weeks, I think there's two different films I'll be seeing in the theater with my girlfriend. Rambo Last Blood and Ad Astra. I'm not entirely sure, it's like if she'll come along for the video or not. I want her to, like, at least for Rambo, because that's her choice. I'm kind of leaning more towards Ad Astra. And then in the previous week, I can't believe I forgot to mention this, I'm going to do a video of another movie I might watch. It won't be something in the theater, it'll be something on video. I'm trying to get into the habit of, like, doing a video at least once a week. Hopefully, I'll be able to pull it off. It'll be something nice and constructive for me to do. Anyway, I've got some links down below that you can check out to Twitter, Letterboxd. I also have a Discord if you want to contact me. Send me a personal message if you want. And I hope all of you have a good evening. And yeah, bye.